Job documents can be used to establish contracts and agreements between you and your customers and your vendors. And you also don't need to include any cost items or dollars on that document. It can purely just be communicating terms. So let's walk through how to create a document of this nature. So the first step is to go into your Document Templates tab within your JobTread settings. Once you're here, you have the option to create a new template for a document. So let's create a new customer order template, plus template here, and then we can name that template. So I'm going to name this Initial Agreement. Perfect. You also can have an internal template name if you have multiple documents of this type and you need to distinguish between them. Here we have the initial agreement details or the document details, and that can go at the top of the document. So whatever language you'd like to use here, you can add. So maybe please agree to the clauses below. Great. And now we can also have our footer. The footer will be beneath any cost items on a document, but for this document, we're not going to be including any cost items, so this could just be the heaviest amount of text here. So I'm actually going to paste some terms and conditions text right here. And also notice that I have some larger, bolder headers. That's because I used hashtags before the line of text. So you can use between 1 and 4 hashtags or pound signs before each of the rows of text, and that is going to make them larger or bolder. So as you can see on terms and conditions here, I have 1 hashtag. The more I add, the smaller the bolded text will be between 1 and 4 hashtags. All right. You also, of course, can have a default email message for this, but once you have this created, let's go ahead and click the purple Create button at the bottom. Awesome. Now you'll see you have your initial agreement document template. Now when we want to use this template, we'll go into a job, and now we can choose plus document at the top. Here's where I can see my template, so I'd like to select that initial agreement one. And then this screen is really important. Typically on other documents, you would select which items or groups of items from your budget you'd like to include on the document. But in this case, we're not going to include any cost items on the document. We simply just want the document to be text. So we're going to create this document without selecting any of the cost items. Click Create. And now you'll see that we have a basic template with our terms and conditions listed. Now I also am probably going to want to require that customer signature on this document, and that will be then at the bottom. Now in some cases, you may want to add some clauses or terms to the document that you want your customer to check off to make sure that they read them. So I have a little bit of a workaround here where we can actually use selection cost items in order to create those clauses for the customer to check off. So let's build some of those. I like going into Edit Item Details. That brings us behind the scenes of the document to then add these cost groups and cost items. So click Edit Item Details, and then we can add in a cost group header. So I'm going to click plus group, and then I'll say new group. Perfect. Now the name of this new group for me, I'm just going to add in the name clauses. Great. And then I can add a description if I need to. And then I'm going to choose Allow Selections. This is going to allow all of the items within that group to have checkboxes next to them. Also, I'm choosing the minimum and maximum number of selections that I want them to choose. So in this case, we're going to give 3 clauses within this group. So I'm going to say at least they have to be checking off 3 items and at most 3 as well. Now I'll click Add Group. All right, so now I have my selections group ready to go, and I can add in my items or clauses within that group. So we'll click plus item, and then I'll choose new item, and I can name this one clause 1. Now I'm also going to add some description text in there, which will actually be the clause itself. And then I don't really need to worry about code or cost type at all, but down here I do want to add in the quantity of 1, and I do need to make sure that I put the cost and price of $0. That will ensure that this item can be listed on a document and sent to a customer. So we'll just say that we are not asking for any money to be committed with this document. Now we'll click Add Item. Perfect. Now this is really important. This item is not nested within the selections group, so we need to click the double arrows here and drag that item up into this clauses group so it is collapsible. All right, let's add 2 more. So plus item, new item, and then I can say clause 2. Perfect. And then of course, add my description in, quantity of 1, cost 0, price 0. Add item, and then we'll drag it up into that group. Now let's add 1 more, plus item, and that'll be a new item, and we'll have clause 3. Description, great, and then quantity of 1, cost, and price of 0. Great, add the item, and lastly, we need to click and drag that item up into that group. Now they are all collapsible and ready to go. We'll click Save here. Now when we click Close Item Details, we'll go in front of the document again, and you'll see that I have my clauses listed. Now I also don't really want to show the quantity or pricing or totals, so we'll just go ahead and hide them by clicking on the little eyeball. There we go. And now you'll see it's purely text for your customer to check off. So at this point, I'm going to click Save. And that's going to release my action buttons up top here. So now I'm going to choose send, and I do want that signature from my customer so I can send it out. Now your customer is going to receive an email, and they can click the button in the email to open up this document. They don't need to log in anywhere when they open the document. Here we'll see that the customer can then check off these items, and then they can sign at the bottom. Click Approve, and now you have an approved contract document. So one thing to note here is that because these are technically cost items and a cost group, these will add to your budget. So we can see what that looks like. If we go to our budget tab, we'll see that we have our clauses section here now, but we did not commit any funds or add any money to the budget for the project. Instead, we can just keep this as a cost group in the bottom of our budget and not worry about it. Now, another quick tip that I'll give you is saving this cost group to your catalog. You can always save it just by selecting the group and exporting it as a group to your catalog, or I already have one saved in my catalog. So when I click on my catalog, I will then go to cost groups and see that I have a terms group. There it is. And you'll see that I already have my clauses listed there. So the benefit of this is when I need to create a quick document, we'll do one again, back in jobs, we'll choose our job, and then I'll click plus document, choose that initial agreement. I will not select anything from our budget, so we'll just click create. Now I can just add all of that selection group nice and easy to this document by clicking plus group at the bottom and say from catalog. Now I can look up my terms group, there it is, and it adds it directly into the document for me. I also then at that point can hide the quantity, hide the totals, and I'm good to go. If you have any questions, contact your customer success manager, or you can email support@jobtread.com and we'll be happy to help. Thanks.